like when she said the headliner's coming up, everyone left. All right, this is the time to leave right now. It's great. I'm just kidding. You okay? Talent was like, oh, am I your favorite black person? No. You're just the only black comic who agreed to do this. If you're wondering if I purposely put 3 petite white women before the blackest person in Astoria, the answer is yes. I did that, and it was hilarious. Thank you all. Thanks for coming out. What's up? I don't know. Someone's like all his friends and family. I know like 6 people here. I don't know anyone else at all. Alright, so this is weird. So I'm doing a half hour. I only have like 4 minutes. So I'm just going to talk to everyone. I'm going to ask you all what you do, and we're going to do like an icebreaker thing, and then that's going to be it. That's going to be... No, thank you all for coming. To show my appreciation, I'll agree with your opinion on Joe Rogan. If he's brilliant or if he's... I agree. I agree. Well, who's from New York City here? I know every comic asks this, but Rob wouldn't let me leave the green room. He's like, you gotta stay there because you're gonna shit your pants. And I shit my pants anyway, but I was probably there. So this homeless guy in Times Square the other day, he was holding up a sign that said, Jews control the banks. And under that it said, Google it. I Googled it, it's true. Here's the thing, I'm totally... whatever, are we met? Whatever, Jews control the bank. It's fine. Fine. I'm Italian, I would not want Italians to run the bank. If Italians ran the banks, you just go to the teller for a mortgage, and they'd be like, you know, this month we were hoping you could just help us out, actually. You just get a letter from Chase, like, we know you had $6 grand in checking. And we really thought the Jets were going to win Sunday. So. Do I know you? I know you. Do I know you? What about you? Yes. I'm asking people I know if I know them. I'm all out of sorts right now. What's up? How you doing? Clearly, I want to have a meltdown on stage. I want that, and I want everyone to start a rumor about me. And so far, it's not happening. I wanted to ride talent's momentum so much, and whatever. I don't need it. Okay. Good job, though. You're very funny. Glad to be doing comedy inside, though. It's nice. Again, it was a rough year and a half. We had to do shows in public parks. Anyone here either perform or go to a show in a public park? Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Weird. It's not like people didn't show up. It's that so many people showed up, but they were just all crackheads, and that was tough. Because crackheads don't laugh at anything. I didn't get why, because we would do show after show after show in a public park, and just no one would get laughs. And we're like, I think parks are just not good places to do shows. And then it finally hit me. It's like, no, I think it's because even the world's best joke, nowhere near as good as crack. Who does crack here? By a show of hands. Do you do crack, ma'am, who just walked in? You're late, so you're probably doing crack. All right. Never. Sorry, that wasn't racist, right? No. Like, no one ever came up to me after doing a show in a park and was like, hey, you got any more of those jokes? I'll suck your dick for some jokes. Any former drug addicts here? Who, you?
Alcohol.
That's not a drug, you fucking idiot. No, I'm Alright. These first 3 minutes, good. Alright. We had to do Zoom. Who did Zoom functions over the past the pandemic? Yeah, the worst. You do get to learn which of your coworkers are making more money than you. That's the benefit of it. The Zoom comedy was so tough though, because like here's the thing, like in real life, if you get like heckled, someone yells like you suck, and then that's it. That's over. But on Zoom, someone drops a comment for the whole world to see if they want, really. And my first certain show I was bombing so bad because I hadn't done stand-up in 4 months, and also because I suck. And then just in the middle of my set, someone just comments, "Wow, that guy looks like he vapes breast milk." That was it. Is that true? Do we believe that? Yes, right? That's for sure. And then what really bothered me, that wasn't even the part that bothered me. It's that underneath that someone commented, "Wow, you're so funny. You should be a comedian." But he capitalized "you," which made me sad. So like, I don't need to tell you this. I'm in therapy. I think it's too late because I'm 29. Even my therapist is like, it's all done, trauma. We had a good session today. We were talking about why I can't make any relationship with women work. And my therapist is like, the reason you have so many problems with women is because your mom was mean to you growing up. She was verbally abusive to you, and subconsciously you take it out on all women, and you lash out at them whenever they give you any minor inconvenience. Yeah. I don't agree. I really don't agree with her. I really don't believe anything that stupid horse says. Talon. I got the big black left in Talon. And the big white left from Rom. I binged the whole Sopranos over quarantine, and I also binged Ghost Hunters. Anyone seen Ghost Hunters here? All right, they hunt ghosts, whatever. It's self-explanatory. There's one great episode. They go to this like abandoned nursing home. These two guys, they go to this abandoned nursing home to find this ghost, and on video surveillance, they see a wheelchair, an empty wheelchair, just wheel across the room, and no one's in it, and they're like, "Wow. This is some paranormal activity right here." And in my mind, all I could think is, how much must it suck to die, come back to life, and still not be able to walk? That's gotta be. But it's like even like famous ghosts, like the Blair Witch, she still came back ugly. I don't understand. Like two people saw the Blair Witch. I binged To Catch a Predator. Who's seen that show? Yeah, Tom was on it. He was on a couple episodes. He's laughing because it's true. He fucks kids. So if you haven't seen it, it's Chris Hansen's the host. He's this very unlikable guy, and he has to. Oh, what? Do we like Chris Hansen? This is my 3-hour set. All right. So Chris Hansen, he has to catch these pedophiles. That's his whole goal. He baits them and he catches them and he has them arrested. And there's one episode in particular that stands out. He's this math teacher. And he's going to have sex with his student. They're texting each other, and she's like, "Come over, my parents aren't home." She's in middle school, he's older, and he goes there, and Chris Hansen comes out right away. And here's the thing about Chris Hansen that I learned. He wanted to be a comedian. Before he got into the catching pedophile game, he wanted to be a comic. So he always tries to slip little jokes into whenever he's arresting someone. And there's one. So this episode, they're arresting this guy. They're arresting this old math teacher. He's 42, and the girl is 13, and which I think is too old, but whatever. That surprised no one. So they're arresting him, and Chris Hansen's like, "I got a problem for you, math teacher." And even the cop puts his head down. He's like, "Jesus Christ, this guy." He's like, "What does 42 plus 13 equal?" And the teacher's like, 55. He's like, "It equals trouble. Take him away." All right, here's what I learned from watching Chris Hansen. Pedophiles are dumb as shit. Because there's every episode, like, they'll go in there and he baits them. Like, he puts microphones, he puts like little cameras and everything. And they'll see this. There's one episode where they see it. They're like, what are these small cameras? Like, what are these microphones in the plants? And then the girl will be like, my dad collects them. And then they'll just be like, all right, and then let's fuck, I guess. That's the whole thing. I don't know. I was born and raised in Queens. Who's from Queens here? And so like 8 people. I had a messed up childhood. I'll be honest. I don't get too vocal, but I messed up. My brother has autism. We didn't call him retarded. That's not a nice word. We use the accepted term. It's high functioning Italian. And my dad asked me to get him involved with Facebook. He's like, yeah, help him with Facebook. And I'm like, all right, I think this is a bad idea, but okay. All right, I think you're the retarded one, but okay. And so he starts posting. And his first post is very nice. It's, I went to the park today, and I pet some ducks. God is great. I'm like, all right, no problem there. Very sweet. Second post, 10 minutes after that, not going to let my disabilities stand in my way. All right, good. No trouble. 7 minutes later, I just see Hillary Clinton's a fucking whore. I had to confront him about it. I had to be like, look, you can't be posting stuff like that on the internet. And then he's like, you're just saying that because you're part of the global elite. And he's like, me? With this fake Tony Soprano shirt. I'm part of the global elite. I'm like, if I was part of the Illuminati, do you really think we'd be splitting a bunk bed right now? I'm just kidding. I live upstairs with Rob. Give it up for my roommate, Rob. Oh! He's good. He's a good guy. He's good. Girl, he's good. God is good always. All right. I don't know. My dad moved on. He's very homophobic. My dad, he called me. He lives on Long Island, which I guess if you live on Long Island, you should be homophobic, right? That's kind of. He calls me the other day. He's like, I'm not watching Dancing with the Stars anymore. He says, there's a gay couple on Dancing with the Stars, and I refuse to watch. I'm like, yeah, don't you hate when the gays ruin such a masculine sport? Like ballroom dancing. I mean, isn't that kind of, they're going to take everything from us. That's it. And I don't know about you guys, but I think the foxtrot is between one man and one woman. Found out, alright, so you guys get me. Rob's like, do the first 10 minutes about who you are as a person, and then do all your racist and sexist jokes. So I'm from Bayside, Queens, and I was pretty nerdy. Like, I got made fun of a lot growing up. I got picked on a lot, and I just accepted it. I'm like, this is who I am. I'm gonna get picked on, whatever. There's nothing I could do about it. And then I watched the show Entourage, and I'm like, I'm gonna be. These guys are from Bayside. Who's seen Entourage here? It's these guys from Bayside, Queens, fictional. They moved to LA, and they make it big in Hollywood. And me and my friend saw them like, that's gonna be us. Why wouldn't it be? Of course, that's for sure gonna be us. And it wasn't, right? But it doesn't matter because like I still loved it as a kid. You know, I still thought it was like very inspirational. But I rewatched it the other day. I rewatched it like 2 days ago, and it's just them making fun of my life in every episode, I realize. Because every episode they're like, look, if this movie bombs, and we lose all our money, and our girls leave us, and our house is repossessed, we're moving back to Queens. And I'm like, what's wrong with that? There's nothing. It's so great. They're like, if this doesn't work, this movie, we're going back to working for the phone company. I'm like, my uncle works for the phone company. There's one particular episode. There's one scene where they're driving through like 5 blocks from where I live. They're just driving through it, and one of the main characters is like, "Wow, what a shithole!" Hey, that's my house. Come on, that's my house. Everyone loves that. We love Entourage here, right? No, it sucks. It's I don't know. They're it's like weird what you can and can't watch. I got Disney Plus the other day. Anyone fuck with Disney Plus? Yeah. And this friend of mine, she's super liberal. She doesn't Bushwick. She's like, Disney's racist. You shouldn't watch Disney movies. There's a lot of subliminal racism in Disney, she said. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, oh, well, have you ever seen the movie Dumbo? There's a black bird in that movie, and that black bird is named Jim Crow. I'm like, that's not really subliminal. That's right on the nose. Right there. I'm not super political. I like Joe Biden, not for political reasons, but I found out 3 months ago when he was in the Vatican, I don't know if you heard the story, that he shit his pants. Anyone hear this story? And that's the most I've ever related to a politician. One of his aides said they smelled something stinky, and then like 10 minutes later came back with a new suit. And I'm like, this is my guy, for sure. And elections are weird. I hate political ads. I think they're stupid. Because it's always the same, every political ad. It's just like a guy, like in a suit, and he's just like walking through a field. And he's just like, you vote for me for president because I'm a father, a husband, and a son. And is it just me, or is that like the lowest bar ever to leave the free world, you know? Like, you couldn't use that logic anywhere else. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't be like, all right, sir, why should Jiffy Lube hire you? As it happens. I have an uncle, I'm a nephew, and I'm a cousin. Wow. All three? Bill. This guy is related to people. Hire him to lube the chippies. It is, I'm not nervous, it's just very hot up here right now. I'm sweating through this shirt, and that's, no, don't worry about it, Rob, it's okay. It's okay. Anyone here ever shit their pants before? Yeah. Come on, who's done it? You look like you shit your pants just now, actually.
High school.
What?
It was high school.
Really? It was high school yesterday? That's. I shit my pants when I was in the 3rd grade. I mean, other times, but this is the story. I was in the 3rd grade, and our teacher, she's very strict, and she asked for the homework, and I didn't have it. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna. Who said twice? Who shit their pants twice? Today? Oh, this year? Yeah, that's fine. It's pandemic. All right.
Only for fun.
Yeah. What other way is there to do it? So she's like, who has the homework? And I didn't have the homework, so I shit my pants. And I thought that would be, I'm like, yeah, that's what you do when you don't have the homework. And all day kids kept coming up to me. They're like, hey, you poop, man? Did you make in your pants? And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? And I don't know if you know this about shit, but the smell gets worse as you walk around with it. It's like a fertilizer. So eventually my teacher's like, hey, can you come outside? I want to talk to you. And, I knew what it was about. And she's like, look, you can go home. Everyone knows what you did. It's fine. You'll get an excused absence. We'll call your parents. You'll go home. Or you know what? They'll get you a change of clothes, and you can just come back. But I didn't want to do it because my thought was, if I leave now, people are going to be suspicious that I shit my pants. But then I look back on it, and you know what makes people really suspicious that you shit your pants? It's smelling like shit. That makes people awfully suspicious. So I'm getting like interrogated like I just murdered someone. She's just like, look, what do you, everyone, it smells so bad right now. Like kids in the next classroom are complaining, and everyone's watching us. I'm like, I didn't do anything. I don't know what you're talking about. She's just sweating, and she's just getting angrier and angrier. She's like, why are you like this? Why won't you just, and I'm like, you know what, miss, maybe you pooped your pants. Maybe that's what happened. And then she just gets so frustrated that she grabs me, and she just bends me over, and she lifts my little Gap shorts up, and she just sniffs my asshole. There's no nice way to say that. She just sniffs my asshole, and she yells, wow, that's stinky. And that is how I got my first boner. That was it. direction ever since then. I mentioned earlier. We've all shit our pants and gotten hard at the same time. That's what a good crowd of all my friends and family. I mentioned earlier I am in therapy. It's very tough though. My therapist, she's an Afghani refugee, which is cool, whatever. And our first session, she was telling me her life story. She's like, when I was 14 years old, my parents were murdered by the Taliban. When I was 15, my school got bombed, and then 6 months later, I had battery acid thrown on my face, and half my face peeled off. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know this was your time. That's crazy. All right, here's what we do. Why don't you just give me $90 an hour, and I'll listen to your bullshit problems. She has awful advice, terrible advice. Because, look, I don't have, like, real problems. Like, I have, like, whatever, emotional problems. But who cares? But I, like, don't have real problems, all right? I talk to her about stand-up. That's like, this person didn't put me on their show. Like, that's our whole session. I was telling her about stand-up. She's like, what do you think the problem is? And I'm like, I think most other comedians are better than me. She's like, what? She's like, why do you say that? I'm like, well, because they're funnier. And then she's like, that doesn't mean they're better than you. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what it means. I don't know what you're talking about right now. I'm just sitting there crying like a little bitch. I'm like, I don't think audiences like me. And then she drops this gem. She's like, hey, it doesn't matter what the audience thinks. What matters is what you think. I'm like, that's not, again, not true. That's not. She sent me a text today. She's like, hey, I think our sessions are going really, really well. This is how I do that. She's like, I think our sessions are going really, really well. And then I texted her back. I'm like, yeah, I haven't even really thought about killing myself this week. She's like, if you send me something like that again, I'm going to refer you to a professional. I'm like, what are you? Are you now a semi-pro therapist? I don't understand. She's like, well, I don't find that type of humor to be funny. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter what the audience thinks. And now I need a new therapist, and that's it. Look, I blame most of my emotional and psychological problems from my parents. So my dad was very strict. My first day of high school, this is a true story. It was our first day. I was very nervous, and we had this teacher, like fresh out of grad school. He thought he was the shit. And he's one of these guys, he's like, I don't know if you ever had a teacher like this, he's like, if your cell phone rings during class, I get to answer it in front of the whole class. Did you ever have a teacher like that before? Yeah. So of course I put my phone right on my desk, and it just rings, and the teacher grabs it before I have the chance to get it. It's my dad. And I'm just sitting back waiting for the show to start. I'm like, all right, here we go. The teacher's like, is this James's father? And Dad's like, yeah. And he's like, well, he knows that he's not allowed to have his phone on in class. So he's actually not available to talk right now. So you can talk to me. And then there's a pause, and you just hear, you put my fucking son on the phone. Or I'll bury you behind the school. He threatened to murder the teacher of the high school. So at this point, everyone's nervous. All right, everyone's scared. Tense moment. The teacher just got threatened to be killed. So he's like, here, just take your phone, just go out in the hallway. And just defeated. So I go out, and I'm like, what do you want? He's like, guess who the Mets just signed? That was the whole thing. And you know what? It was probably someone who sucked, because they suck every year. That was just my rant. I don't know, I've been doing comedy about 6 years, and I still get writer's block sometimes. Every now and then it'll happen. And I was talking to like an older comic about it. I'm like, what do you like a more experienced, like a veteran comic? Like, what do you do when you get writer's block and you can't come up with anything? And he's like, oh, that's easy. You just gotta get in the car and drive. Driving opens up the left side of your brain. I'm like, I think that only worked for JFK. I don't think that's All right, so you guys get who I am as a person, right? I'm pretty messed up. Here's the true story. I almost got kicked out of Little League when I was 10 years old. A bad year. I shit my pants that year, and I almost got kicked out of Little League because there was a deaf umpire, and I made fun of him a lot to other students. He'd be meh, a strike, and I let everyone know it. Ball. That was it. And I made fun of him a lot because kids kind of liked it, and kids never really liked me before. And it was cool. And then one day the coach brings me aside, and he's like, the umpire overheard you making fun of him. And my first response was, how? I'm like, how is he doing that? I'm like, isn't he deaf? I was like, no, he's not deaf. He had jaw cancer. They removed half of his mouth, and he can't say words properly. So I got some severe violations. I was suspended from the league. I think the city council got involved at some point. All the coaches talked about it. So they bring me in, and they're just like, this coach is telling everyone that you're discriminating against him. He's saying that you're a bully. He's saying that you're a bad person. And he wants you kicked out of the league. What do you have to say about that? I'm like, for a guy with no mouth, he's talking a lot of shit. And I don't like it. I'm glad no one's gotten distracted by that astronaut just floating right there. You guys see that? That's right after the Challenger explosion. Yeah, that's right. A rough end. I want to do more crowd work, but I don't like anyone here, so I'm not. I'll try with you. I don't know you too well, guy. What is that jersey?
Patriots.
Get at it. No, I'm just kidding. What do you do for work?
I'm a database architect for Wells Fargo.
That's why I don't do crowd work. It's the guy at my job started stand-up recently, and oh my god, he's so annoying. Like, he always tries to copy what I do. Like, I show up to work early, like he'll show up early. I got a DUI, he got 2 DUIs. And he's constantly pitching me jokes. He's so annoying. He's not here tonight. I didn't invite him. And he's like constantly pitching me these jokes like all the time, and it's so annoying. And they're not good ever. So then one day he pitches me one that's actually not terrible. He's like, hey, you know Jared, the guy from Subway? I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you know that he got gangbanged in prison by 5 dudes? And then he's like, I bet that's not the first time he got a bunch of footlongs. That was his joke. Like, good job, man. I'm gonna go hang myself. And everything in me is like, let me just let this guy have this, let him have this joke, and I couldn't do it. What's even crazier is that the spokesperson for Subway got stuffed by 5 guys. That's the real. I had a rough pandemic. I lost my job at the bank, which is tough. Not because of COVID. They just hate when you drink all the sperm. Swallowed a lot of cum. That's what I'm trying to see who I don't know you two. We're not friends. Who are you guys? How'd you hear about the show?
You meant right.
Oh, right. Yes, we did do that. Okay, good. I'm glad it worked. All right, I was told to do this joke, this next joke, and if it doesn't go well, it wasn't my idea. I found out recently that I have something in common with Hitler. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that nuts? You know that Hitler had a micro penis? Anyway, we both hate Jews. We're laughing in the back. We love that joke. We're all having a good time. We love we love that shit. I don't know, there's no Jews here, right? Except Katie. I don't know, it's weird. It's weird being 29 and single, it's not, like, things are starting to get serious in terms of, like, maybe I'll never get married. Like, that's what I was thinking the other day. Maybe it'll never happen. The last girl I was with, we only went out twice, and my friend's like, you gotta escalate the relationship. So we were sexting back and forth, and she's like, I'm going to change now. And then I texted her, can I watch? And that was my big move. And then she texted me, she's like, LOL, no, you homo. And that was it. I'm a homo. But being single at this age has... Whatever. Alright. It's a true story. Thank you, Rob. Give it up for Rob Rigo. But here's the thing, being at my age, almost being 30 and single, it's totally changed the way I view, like, romantic films. You know, like, I was watching, like, who's seen The Notebook? It's very... Yeah. And when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, this is a movie about a guy whose wife has dementia, and he stays with her until the end. And it's so sweet. And he reads to her and tells her the story of their life, and it's very sweet. But then I rewatched it angrily after jacking off 6 times. And I'm like, no, this is just a movie about a guy who stays with this woman because her only concept of reality is what he tells her. That's it. Because the whole movie, like, he's just like, remember that time I made you come 7 times in an hour? And she's like, no. And he's like, oh, that's because you don't remember things. It's the same thing with A Walk to Remember. Have you seen A Walk to Remember? It's A Walk to Remember is a movie about he's this guy and he dates Mandy Moore, super hot, but she's dying of cancer. And he sticks with her until the end, and they get married, and then she dies of stage 4 cancer. And at the time, I'm like, wow, this is so sweet. Like, he stays with her until the end, despite her medical condition. And then I rewatched it, and I'm like, no. This is just a movie about a guy who keeps fucking this chick because he knows he'll never have to commit to her. That's the whole movie. He's just like, you're sure you're going to die? And she's like, yeah, they can't cure the cancer. So just keep dating then, I guess. That's it. And he goes up to her doctor and he's like, are you sure there's nothing we can do? He's like, I'm a medical professional. There is nothing we can do. He's like, all right, yeah, we're going to stay together. And then they get married. And they're like, it's so sweet. I'm like, no, it's not. I would marry anyone if they were going to die. And you want to get married? You guys have been great. This has been a great half hour, great show overall. I'll end on this. I got blocked today on social media by Tucker Carlson. Does anyone know who that is? I got blocked because I said his 4-year-old looked like he was ready to start pre-KKK. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in.